Podcast starts now. What's up, everyone? You are listening to StraightioLab. We just had a beautiful lunch from Le Pain Quotidien.
So here's my question for you. Le Pain Quotidien, Prêt à Manger, and what's
Au Bon Pain.
Au Bon Pain. Which one is Danielle Haim, which one is Esti Haim, and which one is Alana?
Damn, you are starting out guns blazing. I'm full up on bread and mozzarella, and you're saying which French fast casual restaurant is which Haim sister?
I'm...
Well...
Pret is Danielle?
Le Pain Quotidien is Esti?
I think it's Alana.
Really?
What's the third one? Au Bon Pain? Wait, fuck.
No, Pret.
Pret.
I think Alana's Pret because, like, she's more of the household name.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah.
And then Le Pain Quotidien is Esti.
Yeah.
And Prêt à Manger is...
Wait.
No.
Au Bon Pain, Danielle. Pret.
No, Au Bon Pain is not one of them.
What?
It's Prêt à Manger, Le Pain Quotidien, and... Is Au Bon Pain one of them?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. This is really good radio.
Yeah, we're us fighting over which... yeah. Au Bon Pain, Danielle.
Okay.
Le Pain Quotidien, Esti.
Uh-huh.
Pret.
Danielle.
Alana.
Alana. Okay, great.
Done. That was... that.
Sorry I did that.
Well, it's okay. I think it's okay that you did that. It's just that you were sort of wrong and aggressive throughout. We set up the parameters, and then I was trying to work with the parameters, and you're like, "That's not right."
It actually broke my brain so much. I kept thinking Au Bon Pain is not one of them,
and yet it was.
Yet it was
the whole time.
Isn't there a different one?
I mean, I'm sure there's a different one.
Yeah,
but that's the one we were working.
That's the one we were working with. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, Jamba Juice, Joe the Juice.
Jamba Juice, Joe and the Juice.
Joe and the Juice, and
What's the other one? I love this, by the way. This is the best podcasting I've ever done in my life.
No, we can't. We can't.
I'm sorry.
We can't just do three more things.
I'm gonna own up to this.
Okay.
Which Haim sister is it? Is my game that I came up with, and I'm officially calling it a flop. I think it officially is not a good game. I will own up to it in the same way that I owned up to when I tried to get Fabulosa Fury Road trending.
Well, that was fun.
Okay, so obviously it's when someone looks fab, you say you look Fabulosa Fury Road. I've not gotten it trending. I've not gotten anyone else to say it except me. And I have to just own up to the fact that that is the same with the Haim game. And maybe it can just be my private inside joke with myself or with my friend Sam, but we have to accept when something isn't working.
I think Fabulosa Fury Road it's not your fault it doesn't work.
Okay.
I think it's the fault of the filmmakers, Furiosa, because it wasn't a big enough hit. I think it doesn't have the cultural weight it needs to have.
If Furiosa was a bigger hit, Fabulosa Fury Road, every announcer on E! News, when they're interviewing people on the carpet, would say, okay, she looks Fabulosa Fury Road. Let's look into the Fabulosa cam, and let's get that shot of you, mama.
Yeah. Uh-huh. But unfortunately, it did not reach those heights.
Okay, I see.
And so that's not your fault.
Okay. Haim is my fault, maybe?
Haim, we need to unpack what's not working about Haim.
I know.
For me, I think what's not working about Haim is that, like, there's almost something about the game that's just, like, too simple.
Yeah.
Like, Haim is like, yeah, it's like, which one's the weird one, which one's the film one, and which one's the brains.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's just sort of like too one-to-one. There's not much wonder.
Yeah, you're right. It's true. And also, none of them are really, like, an insult. Like, if you're doing fuck, marry, kill, when you get to kill, that's a shocker. If I'm saying I'm killing Au Bon Pain, that means they're writing me a cease and desist letter.
Yeah.
But if I'm saying Au Bon Pain is SD Haim, they're like, okay, I guess
so
we're the weird
a little
one.
Quirky.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's tough. This is something I've been wondering, and I wonder this almost every day, which is our worldview, we think it's so big when actually it's small. Do people care about Haim in the way that we do?
This is such a larger question. I mean, I do think people care about Haim. As we've said, they are the A24 of music. So I think people care about Haim in the way that people care about an A24 movie.
Sure. So, like, just like people
we know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But I also think, do you think moms know about Haim?
No. I think
Moms know about Chapel.
Moms know about Chapel. I think music dads know about Haim.
Yeah, music dads know about Haim.
Music dads know Haim.
And they love Billie Eilish.
They love to love Billie Eilish.
Yeah. Music dads love to love Billie Eilish.
Yeah. Okay, if they're A24, I'm like...
Yeah, who's Neon?
Is Charlie XCX Neon?
Yes. Because even though her movie is A24.
Well, it's not literal, George.
Of course. It's like how Chapel... Yes.
Well, and she's Neon also.
But you were going to ask something.
Yeah, but then I forgot it.
Okay, got it.
But she's Neon in the sense that she also like swept the Oscars this year.
Yeah, totally. In the way that...
And every year you're like A24.
But it's always Neon.
It's Neon.
Should we bring our guest?
Yeah, I feel like this intro was like one of our more flop.
What?
Yeah, I'm going to say it. And for that, I apologize to our guest.
I just want to say I'm having the time of my life, and I'm embracing my flop era, as Jamila Jamil once said. Please welcome Gianmarco Soresi.
Hello. I just felt stupid. I felt culturally destitute. I know I couldn't tell you a Haim sisters song. I've seen pictures of them. Two are dating now.
The sisters are dating each other?
Oh, they're not sisters.
They are sisters.
Who's the...
Boy Genius are dating.
Oh, you see, I
Okay.
don't. It's all a blur.
Now,
Really?
Gianmarco, I'm actually so happy you're here. Actually, I am happy you're here.
Thank you. Actually,
what I was going to say is, I'm so happy you're here because we were just talking about how you're a touring comedian that is all around this great country of ours.
Road dog.
So you're the perfect person to tell us how many people know Haim.
In your experience.
And I actually would love for you, sorry to cut you off.
No,
I would love
please.
for you, for I would say the next calendar year of your tour, to mention Haim at every show of yours and start collecting some data.
I think in general, comedically, references don't work on the road the way they used to because we're so fractured as a country, period. So you will sooner see comedians reference Rainforest Cafe.
Yes.
Before Le Pain Quotidien. I can't do that in Wilmington, North Carolina. They've never heard of that. And like truly comedically, unless you build up like a niche audience, you cannot have those. Even Sebastian Maniscalco, like that's the number one most paid touring comedian in the country right now or last year. You cannot use that as a reference. Seinfeld, you can. Yeah. And so that's just...
That's so interesting.
It is. I mean, it limits the ability to reference in a way that like, Twitter or something else would allow you to.
In your experience, what year did culture stop?
God, like right where I started getting into the arts. That was the end of culture.
I feel the exact same way. We sort of are like in the sinking ship of the Titanic, and we're trying to reference Haim.
We're trying to reference Haim. We're trying to pretend that we can talk about Le Pain Quotidien and it will matter.
No, but what you're saying is so true. And
it's scary.
Yeah,
it
and my big idea, well, this is like my big joke is we need a nationwide, it needs to be a top-down, government-mandated, this is the new thing everyone's talking about. Like the
Wasn't that what Obama's playlist was trying to be, essentially?
You know what, though? It's not that...
I loved when he didn't have Beyonce's album and then he like issued a correction oops, I forgot.
Okay, here's a question for you. The concept of Obama's playlists, is that something people would recognize around the country?
Oh,
that's a great question.
I mean, it depends where you're in the country. Some people would boo that list. They'd go, that's the list to avoid.
But they would know it exists.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Whereas for me, the Obama's playlist is such a thing that like everyone makes fun of every year. Or it's like if you're an artist, or if you're like a novelist, even it makes a huge difference to be on his book list.
They would still, the reference you'd still use, even if it doesn't exist anymore, is Oprah's Book Club.
Yes. No, maybe. Okay.
Trying to road-friendly references is like one of the darker things we've ever done.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
It's the same with politics. It's like, it's got to be someone we've known since the 90s.
Monica Lewinsky.
Okay.
Monica Lewinsky.
Here's one. So if you're like doing a joke that has like Timothée Chalamet as a reference, does that work, or do you have to say like Brad Pitt?
Works.
It would probably work, but certain parts. First of all, like I have enough of a fan base now that I think yes.
Okay.
My particular fan base, but like, and you're figuring out probably not.
Wow.
Probably not. I thought it'd be so fun. I have like a musical theater playlist, and I slipped in the Penis to Vagina song from Amelia Perez.
Yes.
And I think most people are going, what the fuck is going on?
Gianmarco, I can confirm that that's what's happening because I have tried to make Amelia Perez happen for so long. My favorite thing, I don't know if you've seen the film, but
I have,
her catchphrase is bingo. and I am obsessed with trying to make that the new Fabulosa Fury Road. And specifically when Zoe Saldana recognizes her at the big dinner party, she's like, "Eres tú?" And then Emilia goes, "Bingo." And she like whispers it, but in a really, she's an amazing performer,
of course,
in a really, really compelling way. And I think it's so funny, and no one knows about it because guess what? No one has seen Emilia Perez, and also no one even knows that Carlos Sofia Gascon was canceled. That is something only we know because we're on Twitter.
That's true too. Whenever someone gets in trouble, sometimes you're like, "There's people who have
they have no
heard
idea
of any of this." There are people seeing Chris D'Elia still going, and they go, "What happened?" I mean, that's truly
that's literally what's happening.
I wish Emilia Perez. It really was. I mean, it was disastrous.
Yeah.
But like, it was a fascinating. I mean, the twists and turns.
Oh yeah.
I would love that to be whatever Rocky Horror is.
Exactly.
Like just a real or The Room.
Totally.
You could totally watch it with friends. I was so happy I watched it with my girlfriend. It was so fun.
It was fun.
No, I agree. It's so
I
sad.
do think it needs to be reordered, though. I was pretty disappointed that the Penis to Vagina song comes so early. I thought that was going to be like the climax song.
Yeah.
I at least needed it to come back, maybe as sort of a reprise. I thought that would have been nice.
No, there are some characters that you would think, oh, this is a new main character, I guess, and no, you will never hear from them again.
It's more of a sketch show.
It's a sketch show. It's a
That's how they should have built it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this actually really scares me when I learn that people in other places don't know everything that I know. Mm-hmm. It really freaks me out.
You know what would be an incredibly difficult job for that very reason is, for example, hosting the Oscars, because it used to be that Billy Crystal would reference Shakespeare in Love, and every single person would understand at least the basics of what he's referencing.
Uh-huh.
If you're Conan and you're referencing Emilia Perez or, God forbid, I'm Still Here, the Brazilian film, who's going to get that?
It's not God forbid, the Brazilian film. I'm just like, but it almost becomes like a political conversation where you're like, okay, do we go to the center and reference stuff from 5 years ago? Or do we push forward?
Well, it depends if you want to win or not.
Exactly.
Comedically or politically speaking.
Do you then find yourself in the position of being like, okay, I want to reference something.
That hurts.
They don't know what it is.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Like, they don't know what it is. I want to reference it. So then you find yourself for 10 minutes explaining what it is for the sake of
you can't, like, I remember, like, I had something about living in Harlem, and like, for some of the Harlem jokes you have to establish that this was like a predominantly black neighborhood, and like you can't go to the whole history, but you try to come up with like one or two lines that capture it, hopefully with a joke, and then move on. So you have to like try to, it's not easy to reference a TV show. I have a bit where I'm really trying to talk about how I'm not allowed to take off my shirt in Soul Cycle. And again, it's like so many things I have to establish. Not everyone knows what spin is. Now knows what Soul Cycle is. Now everyone understands that in some workout spaces, you can take off your shirt. And this one, you sweat a lot. And it's mostly women. And it's like there's all sorts of context you have to set up. So I'm working on it.
It is the most coastal sort of like metrosexual man problem, not to call you metrosexual, to be like touring and be like, I want to do a joke about Soul Cycle, but no one knows what Soul Cycle is.
Yeah. But I have to establish it for people who don't understand any of it. Even spin. Where did metrosexual, the term felt like it disappeared.
Talk about something that you can reference, because it was the last dregs of monoculture was when people were talking about metrosexual.
But I don't know if I would qualify as a because metrosexual seem more like obsessed with appearance and looks.
I don't think you're metrosexual. I was trying to find like the right word for like whatever, coastal sort of like liberal man who takes care of himself, who would go to Soul Cycle.
I wanted to like start referring to myself as a fop, like a fop, like who's the playwright? He Oscar Wilde. He would have a fop character, and it always was like the flamboyant character. But in his plays, it wasn't necessarily the gay character. It's
like a dandy.
A dandy. But still, even that, like, there's something about like appearance that I don't fit. That's not one of the things that is feminine about me.
What would you say is
my movement, my mannerisms, the
musical theater
of it all, the wanting to be like some
showy,
fabulous in a way, but it doesn't translate to clothes. I've had to work hard to like dress better. It doesn't translate. I'm not a huge like camp guy.
You like a sincerity.
I do. I lean towards the musical theater of it all. But like camp, it's always like it's just too much for me. I can admire it from afar,
of course,
but I'm not obsessed with it.
Yeah.
But I love Liza Minnelli and Cabaret. Like I'm like, oh. And I want to be you and admire you and also make love to you too. It's the full spectrum of love.
I do sort of think straight men who are into musical theater might save actually, I was about to say the most shocking thing ever, which is if we had a straight male president who was into musical theater. Guess what? We do.
Yeah.
That his biggest dream was to be a musical theater producer. Like,
is that true?
He like loves musical theater. He loves cats.
He loves cats. He wants to bring cats to the Kennedy Center.
Yeah. I had no idea.
Yeah, he loves musical theater.
But you saw like they made fun of him at the RNC. He came out and it was light bulbs of Trump, and they compared it to Roxy in Chicago. It's a showman.
Oh yeah,
he is a showman.
Yeah.
There's so much about anyone in politics. They're all wearing so much makeup. It might be different makeup and highlighting different things, but his makeup, sometimes you see it and you go, it is crazy that we move past this. Why is it ending so brutally at the ears?
No, I do think that was, talk about normalization. It's like when the makeup was normalized, well, the policies come next.
Well, but also if we keep talking about the makeup, then people are going to make fun of us for talking about the makeup.
Yes, you're right.
And be like, why would you care about the makeup when all this stuff is happening?
But they want theater. There's just something where I go like, I think some people, if they have a way to artistically express themselves, they become a little nicer.
Yeah.
Or I think there's like, pent-up sexual tension. I think there's like pent-up artistic expression.
You're absolutely
right. And it comes out in like, we need to go back.
Yeah. Well, people have said that his version of like Hitler being a failed artist is being a failed Broadway producer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like, if only they had let him do, Trump the musical.
Of course.
Trump with a T.
Look at George Bush. He did all the war crimes, and now he's a painter.
Exactly, yeah. Maybe that'll be his third act, after, the entire world is burned to bits. He'll erect his own theater and put up cats.
I think that's one of the things with like AI, the AI art, which is like, again, talk about a conversation that like online everyone goes like, this is terrible. If you're making an AI right now, it's really, I keep seeing on Instagram people make themselves an action figure or whatever, and online, on Twitter at least, it's like, this is vile. If you do this, kill yourself. And then I go and I look at normal people who go outside and read books, and they're all making an action figure of themselves because it's just a cool little thing to do online.
That's such a perfect example.
We've been encountering this a lot recently.
It's literally such a tiny niche opinion that it's quote unquote evil, which, to be clear, I agree with. But it is literally like, it's the equivalent of, I don't even know, like debating who is going to win some obscure prize in literature, or something, like to think that ChatGPT is the average person just uses it to write emails.
But it's also the obsession with like thinking that art is always about the product.
Yes.
And like, we do it as a business, so it is involved in the product because we're ultimately selling it. But for so many people, it's like, no, the art is the process of doing it and going, to quote Sondheim, look, I made a hat where there never was a hat. It's like sometimes people come to shows and they draw me while I'm on stage and they show it, and it's like, that's just for them.
Yeah,
and it's hard sometimes for me to think about it because every time I make something, I do a doodle. I'm like, we got to put this somewhere. We got to make a TV show out of this. I think merch. But like, that's the illusion of AI is they go like, well, look, we can make the product without the work, and it's like, no, the work is the whole fucking thing for a lot of people.
Yeah. Oh, brother. The AI stuff is such a bummer in a way where I'm like, I don't even know where to go from there.
I know.
I find it like,
it'll die. They'll make it so you can make The Office, but instead of Dwight's played by Gabriel Iglesias, and you can make it, and you'll be like, your dad will be like, I made this, and you'll be like, well, I'm not going to watch it. Everyone will make their own thing, and no one will care, and we'll realize that so much of art is that we're all collectively looking at one thing. I hate, everyone's talking about how The Pit is like they're enjoying it being it weekly. I hate seasons that drop all at once.
Me too.
I loathe it,
agree.
and people always go, I actually like it, and I go, yeah, you like eating cake for breakfast, and then you wonder why every meal material is boring. You don't know what you want.
It's crazy, yeah.
And it's the same thing with like, you could make a TV show or The Office animated to look like they're Powerpuff Girls, but it's like, who cares? It's about the cultural, we all agree to look at this one thing and someone's curated that one thing. So I do think it will destroy itself to a degree.
You have to hope. I hope it takes down social media with it. And I think it might.
Or all film and TV and we go back to theater. And we all go back to theater.
That's true.
I mean, theater is the only answer.
I mean, honestly, kind of. I've actually been having so much fun with stand-up again, and I don't know why, but I've been like, oh, finally, people are together.
Mm-hmm. I went to a play recently, and shout out Deep Blue Sound at the Public, and the final line made me start crying, and then I couldn't stop crying, and I was like, I think this is my pent up. This is literally what being on Instagram all day. All my emotions are suppressed because all I'm doing is being kind of angry at some random gay guy all day, every day.
Yeah.
And then it's like I hear one sentence that has emotional resonance, which if I was just like a normal person going to the theater all the time, it would be like, okay, well, moving on, like time for dinner.
Yeah.
And I hear one sentence that has emotional resonance and I'm like literally breaking down.
What was the sentence? I've got to know.
Well, I'm not going to ruin the final.
I guess that's true.
It was... Whatever.
I saw a play with my girlfriend recently, and it was like there was a couple fighting, and the guy said to the woman, like, I've understood you, but will you ever understand me? And I was like,
wow.
Mm-hmm. And my girlfriend looked at me like, excuse me? And I wasn't doing it on purpose, but I felt it. I was like, mm-hmm.
I mean, you just get a directness. Whatever. Live performance is all we have, is basically the moral of the
but
story.
I did see I saw a Broadway show that I paid way too much for, and I felt scammed, and I felt a newfound, no, fuck the theater, actually, but it was my fault.
But that's Broadway, though. Like,
Broadway.
There's something, the Broadway is literally Trumpian. Like, Broadway is like, for the literal 0.1%, the people making it are so completely out of touch.
I fell for it.
Yeah.
But I paid a lot to see Audrey McDonald and Gypsy, and I sobbed.
That was incredible.
I really, when she's losing it at the end, I mean, she was just bearing it all. And it was the closest I came to really sobbing in the theater. Just like,
wow.
You know, I just saw Bernadette Peters in the Sondheim review.
Oh, how was it?
And I mean, listen, it's ultimately like cruise ship vibes, but Bernadette is still Bernadette. It's like, yes, it's like basically, you know, people like bringing out one like barber's chair and doing a song from Sweeney Todd, and then it leaves, and then they bring out like a top hat and do another number.
Sure.
Like it's like,
did she do Not a Day Goes By?
She did Not a Day Goes By, but she also did. Sorry, Sam.
I can't believe you're out gay guy me on my own gay guy podcast. I can't contribute at all.
You're not at all?
Not even a little bit.
Sam isn't.
William Finn died recently. That broke my heart. I cried about that.
Never heard that name in my life.
Oh,
not once. This is my first time hearing that name.
I actually think
we could talk about football after this.
Yeah, let's talk about football.
But talk about musical theater references because I have to do those on stage.
Okay, so does that work?
What, Bernadette?
Yeah, like doing musical theater references.
I had a bit that would reference Liza Minnelli, and like
people know who that is.
Yeah, they do, but like younger people go, oh, from Arrested Development, and you go, no, from Fosse.
Yeah.
And then like I changed it to Leah Michele for one thing, and
do
then
people know that?
They know Leah Michele
from Glee.
From Glee. And like, but Cats, I have a joke that ended up using Cats, and people knew that well enough. Little Shop, they know, but you find out pretty quick. And a lot of musicals don't pierce that. I mean, Hamilton.
What would you say, as someone who's not a musical person, what musicals bring to mind like distinct?
What musicals do I know, basically?
Yeah.
It's like West Side Story.
West Side Story.
West Side Story.
Basically ones that are famous movies.
Yeah.
West Side Story, Chicago, Sound of Music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty much
so those are old.
Yeah.
Sound of Music is so old.
Damn.
Yeah.
I do wonder, you know, looking back 50 years from now, what stuff from the 2010s will have become canonized? You know what I mean? Like, what will be the sound of what will be something that someone can confidently reference?
It's hard to tell. Like right now, literally, I'm like, I can only think of like Gaga and Katy Perry as like,
yeah.
For example, is the sunken place from Get Out, is that going to be something that stands the test of time as a concept? Like people will still be saying that in the way that we say, oh God, like some, I don't know, reference from a 60s movie, like Singing in the Rain or something, you know, like.
I think
Yeah.
That one sounds like that one will stick.
But I don't know. I don't think if you ask my mom what's the sunken place from Get Out.
Yeah, totally.
I don't think she knows.
Yeah, but she's on her way out of here.
How dare you?
It's the younger ones we're talking about.
Okay. Our first segment is called Straight Shooters. And in this segment, we test your familiarity with and complicity in straight culture by asking you a series of rapid-fire questions where you have to choose one thing or another thing. You have to go with your gut. And the one rule is you can't ask any follow-up questions about how the game works.
Okay.
Okay.
Wait, sorry. Can you just say what you said again?
That's a follow-up question.
That's a follow-up
Damn
question.
it. Okay, just go.
Okay. Lana Del Rey or What You Say?
What you say?
Singing in the rain or putting on the Ritz?
Singing in the rain.
A Trump impression or a rump inspection?
Trump impression.
Insider trading or outsider art?
Insider trading.
Honey, I'm home or Yummy, a bone? That's from the perspective of a dog.
Yummy, a bone.
It's not right, but it's okay? Or getting a Fulbright because you are gay?
Getting a Fulbright because you were gay.
Bernie Sanders at Coachella or learning Spanish as a fella?
Ooh.
Bernie Sanders at Coachella.
Being proficient in Excel or being carbon efficient? Take that, Shell.
Being
good.
proficient in Excel.
Wow. So we rate our guests currently on a scale of 1 to 1,000 blades of grass,
It's named after Lady Gaga's song.
which is just called one.
Just
blades of grass.
Okay. I would say, I think you gave an amazing performance. I think your performance of thinking was really,
There was
I would say,
pain.
theatrical.
I would argue as well.
Did you take off your glasses during
I
this
think
segment?
so. Yeah,
Glasses were.
That's what we would call a reveal.
yes.
He said, "This is a visual.
This
medium.
is a visual medium. So
Cameras are on.
I would definitely add a few points for that.
Yeah.
I definitely think it is above 800.
I'm going to say 901 blades of grass.
901 blades of grass. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Wow.
I told my girlfriend, I said, if I don't get above 900, I'm going to walk right out.
It used to be graded
by
non-linearly.
the skin of your
but
teeth, you made it.
I want to see that. I want to see Lady Gaga. I don't see a lot of concerts. I'm not a concert guy.
Oh.
But I'm like, I have the means and the resources. I want to see Lady Gaga no matter what on this tour.
You're not going to be disappointed.
You're not going to be disappointed.
I need the dancing. I need some dancing.
Yeah, she's sort of the only one still doing it.
No,
I
and
saw
she
good
really
concerts
does
when I
it.
was a kid. Like that's when I saw Spice Girls. I saw Janet Jackson. I saw Britney Spears early,
Really?
like the school desks.
You got a
flipping over
sister?
school desks. No. I mean, I do have sisters, but I was the one leading the charge.
Because I'm like,
But this is your musical
but
theater.
my question is more
Yeah.
like socially. Like, were you not afraid of being made fun of for this?
I don't know. Like people's interest, they were all lame. It was just like a boring private school, so there was no real bullying. I saw Spice Girls in second grade, and I think that was just too young. People weren't like bullying based on straight or gay quite yet. But I went on a date in second grade with there was a girl I had a crush on,
Oh my God.
and her parents were like horrified. They didn't know because it wasn't yet like inappropriate because we were second graders. But then they went with my dad, who was like dating someone, which was not part of their worldview. And the rule was she had to leave by 10 p.m. or we had to get home by 10 or something. We left as the Spice Girls started the show because they were 2 hours late. Of course, the concert didn't start on time. And I bawled. I cried and I wept because we left the concert as it started because we had to get her home in time.
I'm shocked that you didn't have any shame, to be honest. Like
In second grade?
In second grade, I fully feel like even by second grade, I was like,
No, I agree.
I knew what boys liked and what girls liked, and I knew I had to be on the boy side.
But this is, I think, something. I mean, I don't know you that well, but I feel like this is something that is very charming about you. Is like the musical theater. Like you do just like have interests in performance and in theater and in and whatever. But it does not like.
My dad didn't have super masculine views, though. Like, he doesn't like musical theater, but he was of the disco era. And I definitely think, like, that was a real, we're just all touching it. I mean, he was a hippie
Fluid.
and disco, so there was a lot.
Okay.
So I think he just never. I was into wrestling, which felt very, just everyone's wearing nothing. And
Were you into other sports?
No, I was terrible at sport. I mean, we watched football, but I never like was good at them or liked them. So I never had the pressure from my father. And in second grade, some guys liked sports, some guys liked Star Wars.
Yeah.
But it hadn't coalesced yet into being weird to like.
Where'd you grow up?
Potomac, Maryland, near Bethesda.
Okay.
And not far from D.C.
Okay.
So I just must have lucked out. I imagine I just lucked out in terms of my grade not being particularly like dude heavy.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes that happens.
Sometimes you luck out. Because I would always mask anything I liked in my sister.
But the thing is, like, you had something to hide.
My sisters and I, with Spice Girls, they sold like little booklets at like Barnes and Nobles, and for one for each Spice Girl, and like we all got one. And my favorite was Baby, and my sister Victoria liked Posh because they were similar to it, not just their name. And then my other sister was Sporty, and it was like. Maybe it's because I had sisters and they didn't give me shit for it, or they were half, so I saw them half the time, so they didn't have time to establish things. But I just kind of fit in with them.
C'est la vie.
I watched that Spice Girls movie. I had the VHS, and there was something I don't know, but like the girl power. I would be Haisiya Mota, and I'd kick and I'd do that. It was just what it was. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that movie's a damn hit.
Oh my god, it's
Alan
so
Cumming.
good.
It's so
early
funny.
Alan Cumming.
Early Alan Cumming.
I mean, there's alt bits in there.
Oh,
That is an alt
That
comedy
bit with
movie.
with the tour bus and it jumps over the bridge.
Come on, it's fun.
Does it hold up? Is it fun?
I rewatched it maybe 3 years ago. The bits are still funny, but it's longer than you expect, and you're like, huh?
Does the alien touch her boob or something?
Yeah.
No, you see, but that's like, to me, that's a heterosexual moment that they
That's
gave
true,
to me,
that's
and I
true.
said, hey, I like that part.
Okay, everybody gets a little.
Totally, yeah.
Should we do the topic?
Yeah, let's do it.
Please tell us what the straight topic is today, and what is straight about it.
Weightlifting. We're going to talk about weightlifting. It's something I've dabbled in, and it definitely feels like a mix. One of those territories where it's like it's straight, but it's gay. It feels like but it feels like a lot of guys go into weightlifting like this is a straight space.
Totally.
Absolutely.
But I think a lot of times straight men are looking for like a way that they can be physical with each other that feels safe from being gay. And weightlifting is that.
Yeah.
Spotting, please.
Yeah.
Please.
Well, I agree. I think it is a very straight space, and honestly, spotting is where I'm out. Like when someone's like, "Can you spot me?" I'm like,
Oh, I don't
"No,
like
no, no, no,
that.
no, no,
Yeah,
no, no,
yeah. No, this is my
you've got the wrong guy."
the bar's falling up. No.
Well, I do
No, like
actually
when they
think-
ask me to stand there, I'm like, "You don't understand. Like I'm faking."
But
like,
yes, and
I'm
also
here-
this is the difference between straight lifting and gay lifting. Like I do think there's something very individualistic about the way gay guys do it, which is like,
Tell me.
this is my time to make myself hotter so that I can go to Fire Island.
Yes.
And then for straight guys, they're all like having such a good time and are there together and are like, sharing tips online and listening to podcasts.
I went to Fire Island for a day. Jay Jordan brought me around.
He was like, look,
The gym upon arrival was the funniest thing I've ever
it's
seen in
funny.
my life. Just the idea of like some last minute cramming before you go to the parties, and like it doesn't smell great. It's like a rough
Half
gym.
outside.
If you're going
Yeah.
on that treadmill, just go back to Manhattan. Like you're not solving it on that treadmill for 30 minutes. And it was just awful conditions to work out. I would have to be so desperate.
Well, when you're there for a week, sometimes you got to pop in for a midweek.
have you done that?
You've
Oh my
popped in?
God.
Last year, I popped in for the first time because honestly, it started to feel like, okay, well, I'm the only one not popping in. So everyone else is like gets their little pump in for the day, and meanwhile, I'm like, I'm on vacation, and then they're all like, where's his pump? So I said, you know what? If you can't beat him, join him.
Did you do a hard workout? Do you just get a light little sweat in?
Oh, a light sweat. You know,
light
just,
sweat.
Just touch
Okay.
everything up a bit.
Sure.
You know, just make sure it's all engaged.
Okay, so in terms of weightlifting being straight, because I do think this is such a rich topic. At the most basic level, you are trying to make yourself larger, which is of course taking up space. So that's just thinking very basic. Okay, you're trying to make yourself larger, and you're trying to make yourself look more like a statue of a man. You are trying to be more man.
Yeah.
And you are trying to be larger. Okay, so that's one thing. Something that's complicated about it is if sports are straight, there's something about lifting that's almost skipping the middleman of doing anything that's useful. Like in the olden days, you would get buff by like doing manual labor and or playing sports. So you would be doing something that had some sort of other value, whether you're adding value to society or you have like camaraderie and the athletic spirit. And to do lifting is very shortcut. And in that sense, it's also straight because it is like, it's like insider trading. Like it's like skipping the step of doing more complex work to get to the direct result that you want.
Yeah.
But it's also gay to not play sports and want to get buff. You know what I mean?
Well, buff for gay guys is like a reaction. It's like it's a way to sort of like reclaim being made fun of as a child or something.
Yes.
Whereas like for straight guys, there's not like it's not necessarily a reaction as much as it's just like, well, I do want to be bigger.
For gay guys, it is so tied up with like issues around masculinity and reacting to being called effeminate or being called girlish and being like, well, I'll show you. I'll become even bigger than the man.
There's something about a gym feeling like a straight space where you're like, whenever I walk into a gym for the first time, I'm like, okay, everyone here is straight. And then if you're there for like a few months, you're like, okay, actually only those two guys are.
Yeah.
Because everyone's kind of pretending in a really weird way.
I just think, I mean, at least going to like that, there's one party at Fire Island where I was like, oh, it was like everyone was the exact same body type. And I thought, man, I can't imagine the social dynamics with this, just dealing with that on top of everything else. It's like when you see a picture and it's like 20 guys on Fire Island and they all have a six-pack. I'm like, if one of you goes through depression, do they make you take the picture? Like, where are you? Like, or is there a different party? It was, and I was in a good place when I went to this party. I felt I belonged. It was I noticed at this party there was someone who was like, by all means in good shape, but slightly not as cut as everyone else at the party. And he was like the kind of silly one there. And he was like, dude,
welcome to our life.
But it's so funny because I was like, you're in fantastic shape. It says everyone else's Adonis is here. Cody from Peloton is here. Like, that's...
Past guest on this podcast, by the
way. He said hi, and all I said was, I'm a big fan, and it just felt like the light left his eye. And I was like, oh, you'd love my spin material.
Yeah,
you'd love all my spin jokes. I wouldn't have to explain it to you.
Also, you're right. They do make you take the picture.
And what you're describing about being the silly one, it is the gay guy equivalent of like the very sexist trope of like there's like a group of girls and there's like the one ugly one and like.
But the thing was like this ugly one was like truly.
Yes, of course.
If he was straight, he'd be the fucking every guy would be like, fuck, he's so in shape.
Yeah. What is okay, weightlifting, I agree with this idea that weightlifting is straight, but it is an interesting difference where it's not having a perfect body isn't straight. Like the goal to have a perfect body is not the same in straight culture. Whereas like, but it's a different kind of perfect body.
It's like, I feel like with straight guys, I mean, I don't know if like professional weightlifting, I saw like the Arnold Schwarzenegger documentary and you see like those dudes and I'm sure some of them are gay, but like Arnold seems pretty straight.
Yes, definitely.
But there still is this like, he likes the male body. I'm sure he went to guys and they go, let us flex, let me feel. And I'm sure if they could lick, they would too. But like there's something... I don't know. It's just you like the male body. Like sometimes I think you can like admire male body, but because you like I want that body. I want to be that body, and that isn't necessarily sexual in the same way. Wanting to have sex with someone is, but it is sexual.
Well, this is that classic thing where like it goes back to even straight guys can jerk off with each other, and it's just male bonding, but they never invite gay guys to jerk off with them.
100%. So I actually,
first of all, I've never jerked off with another guy.
You were
too busy going to the Spice Girls concert.
Are a lot of straight guys saying this?
That's such a high school, middle school thing of like straight guys all jerking off together.
Yeah.
Okay, so
no.
So you went to a different kind of school.
Not in Potomac. Okay, so I do think much like the jerk, there's something about something being so gay that it's just straight. And I think bodybuilding is one of those things. Like bodybuilding, if you think about it, it's literally men getting oiled up and posing. That's like something out of a gay guy's imagination. And yet, because it's so far in that direction, it like transcends sexuality and becomes a completely straight thing or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's very desexualized.
Isn't kind of like when a gay guy is getting in shape or buff, I mean, it's per the Fire Island point, like isn't part of it like, oh, this is really going to change my sexual life. There's a lot more people who are going to want to hook up, and for some, there's more open relationships, sure, certainly. Yeah. But with like a guy, it doesn't always feel like the weightlifting is necessarily to attract the opposite gender. I mean, a lot of times they're in a relationship. It really is about them. Sex isn't as much a part of wanting to do it. I've always thought if I was like a gay guy, especially an open relationship, like I'd be motivated to like work even because it would change the whole dynamic.
It's more
me being in shape has no effect on my interpersonal life.
It's a more feminine impulse. It's like putting on makeup for gay men.
Yes.
Whereas for straight men, it is.
It's like health oriented,
and
for other guys, but in a different way, not for sex, but just like
it's competition, non-sexual competition,
and bonding, something to like relate about, and again to like be able to engage physically. I think there's just like the desire to engage physically, but still feel like you're straight, or it feels like structured, so you're allowed to do that. I don't know. It goes back to sports too, where I feel like I had a friend, he played soccer, and I remember once I hung out with him after college. He played soccer at Stanford, and we were going out one night to like a club, a nightmare night for me. But we went to like one of their houses. They all were on the soccer team together, and this guy took a shower. We're all in his room, and he like came out, and he was naked. And these are straight guys. I am gay there, and this guy is naked. And, you know, these are the guys who spent in a locker room for this whole time. And this guy's naked, and he's just standing there kind of like talking. And we were in his room, but he's naked for a massively long amount of time. And I thought in that moment, I was like, I've been to 6 musical theater sleepaway camps. I've had gay friends. I've had gay roommates. What we are doing right now is the most erotic thing I have ever been a part of in my entire life. And these guys would never think of it as homosexual at all.
Were they addressing it?
No, he wasn't like standing like I'd be sitting like he was standing kind of like a statue.
Yeah.
I always think like when guys get so worked up about a gay person in the locker room, like with football or whatever, I think it's because it acknowledges that what they're doing is kind of erotic, showering together. And so if someone there who wants to fuck, they go, he just wants to fuck us. It's like, well, you're there, you're slapping each other's asses. But it's the thread. It's all just a thought experiment that they've established that this is not gay. 100%. And it's like, maybe it's not gay, but it's erotic. It is erotic.
Also, homosocial.
What you're afraid of is not that the gay guy in the locker room is going to hit on you. What you're afraid of is that you're going to be attracted to him.
Sure.
It's like if you're holding a baby, you're not afraid of dropping it. You're afraid you're going to accidentally like throw it. Like it's like you're confronting a part of yourself that you have suppressed.
Yeah. But so I think that's what weightlifting is, just another form of like, and some guys love it. Good for them. God bless.
Yeah.
What about grunting? Grunting while lifting.
Sometimes it happens though if you really push yourself.
That's straight. I've never felt the need to grunt.
Sometimes it happens by accident, and I feel so humiliated.
I know, but that's how you know you're working hard.
Yeah.
You're
listen, there's overdoing it. There's performative grunting.
No, but I do think like sometimes it comes out. Does it never come out for you?
Not once.
Really?
I'm silent.
Oh, I have to like focus in order to be silent because by default I will be like, ugh, like.
I curse. I like to
really?
curse. Oh, I love to curse. Oh. When I had to do Zoom workouts during COVID, there was one time that my roommate was like, you gotta chill it out. Because I'd be like, fuck.
Yeah.
Fuck. And he was like, you can't do that. And I had to learn.
Wow.
Shared space.
Was it hard to learn?
It was hard to learn. I'm a knight between the singing practice and the grunting and I'm a noisy neighbor.
Tough roommate.
Tough roommate.
I mean, I do think if you're just naturally a performer, the grunting comes out more. Not to say that you're not a natural performer.
Oh, that's interesting.
I think another straight thing about lifting is also the like self-optimization element of it. Like, it's very Silicon Valley. Like,
it has been co-opted by this type right now, and sort of this like techie and manosphere-ish
Yes.
type, which I don't know how. This is the other thing of sort of talking about Haim. This is that manosphere tech guy stuff is sort of some guy's Haim, and I can never tell how widespread it is.
I mean, it was enough to win an election. You know what I mean?
Totally.
But I sometimes I see videos for these man camps. Like it comes up on my feed.
Where it's like a guy being yelled at. I've seen this stuff.
They're being yelled at, but they're also journaling, and they're also. I'm like, this is. I don't judge it because I went to acting camp. These guys did not get this. They never got to do the artist's way. And if we can rebrand the artist's way for straight guys and just change the cover and be like the real bros way, the dude's journey, like there's something where it's almost like a horseshoe theory in terms of like sexuality or femininity. It's like they're going so far here that suddenly they're in groups together journaling and talking about their feelings, and you're like, if we can bring it all the way, you'll understand that you just have not been given a space in society to express yourself. And those camps, I look at them and I'm like, this is theater camp for men in their 50s.
Yeah. My fear is that they think the reason they haven't been given space to journal is because of feminism. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, because it's almost like everyone of all political stripes can agree on the problem that there's a crisis, some vaguely defined crisis of masculinity.
Yes.
But then it's like either you look at that in a right-wing way, or where you're like, well, the reason is because women are, have taken them down and don't allow them to flourish, or you look at it from like the opposite perspective, which is like patriarchy also affects men and patriarchy.
Well, look at Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson, he's like crying all the time, and I look at him, I'm like, how are you part of the manosphere?
Yeah.
You're in the most flamboyant suits.
Totally.
You're sobbing, and I go like, the key is in there somewhere.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's as hard because, those guys will see on Twitter someone go, men are trash. And they're so emotionally vulnerable, they go, fuck you.
Totally.
I'm going to man camp.
I know, it's tough.
Well, I mean, when you put it like that, I'm almost like, well, actually now I like the man camps then. Everyone should go.
But maybe that's what happens. It's like at the end of the man camp, the counselor goes, just so you know, this was actually gay camp.
Yeah,
I was liberal the whole time.
I was liberal the whole time. He pulls off the mask and it's a mask.
Get them at their most vulnerable and then screen Moonstruck.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like just that something as simple as that.
I actually think the idea that everyone just needs to go to acting camp and like embarrass and shame themselves and bring them down, like absolutely that's true.
Yeah,
that's basically what we all need.
Yeah,
because we get a little scab on us when we don't do that.
Yeah, there's sometimes I look back in it and I go like, I should have learned skills. And then I go, but then I'd be longing for that thing now. It's like I got it. I needed that when I was at that age.
No, I completely agree. I wish I had gone to acting camp. Do you know what's interesting about lifting is via the manosphere, via Silicon Valley, whatever, now it's like Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos are ripped.
Yeah.
That is a big shift that has happened in this generation. Like Steve Jobs and Bill Gates were not ripped.
I will say being ripped is starting to be meaningless in a weird way.
It's
because you can just do it. Like you can just buy it.
But it has cultural cachet. I mean, like
it does.
Whenever RFK comes out with something crazy, they go, but look at him.
That
looks pretty fit at 70, whatever. And so, like, that's why I think they get into it.
Damn,
I think,
you're right. You're right.
Yeah, I think it's just a little bit new. And and that's why it's a straight. I mean, Jeff Bezos, that's a straight guy, for sure.
Yeah.
That's a straight man.
Same with Mark.
Yeah,
Mark. Ugh, Mark.
I wonder if it's also almost a reaction to people privileging intellect too much. It's almost like working on your body is like the people's reading. Like for so long, we gave attention to people that were smart and to people who had like done who had like done intellectual work.
Well, then it was money.
And now, but there was something. I guess what I'm trying to say is that there's something like populist about lifting because like anyone can do it, whereas not everyone can like go to Harvard.
Yeah.
It is.
But at the same time, that's a myth too.
Yeah, of course.
Some
The
people's
more
bodies
money
can't.
you have,
They have
yeah.
trainers. I mean,
course,
dear
of
God,
course.
having
The
a
time,
trainer.
the
not only
food.
but the food, the
creatine,
the
smoothies.
Okay, sure, yeah.
It just is a new sign of wealth.
I guess it's a new sign of wealth, but it's a new sign of wealth with when the goal is to look like what the stereotype of like a non-rich manual laborer would have looked like in like a different era. Like it's just very confusing.
Yeah, but it can be like passionless, like or
Yeah.
just like it's like. Per your point of like it's kind of skipping the usefulness or the camaraderie. It's just
Yeah.
like you go into a factory and they'll eventually be able to just pump you with fake stuff and people getting Brazilian butt lifts but biceps.
Totally.
Dudes getting bicep lifts.
Oh, I'll take
mean,
two.
I do wonder what shortcuts are happening that we don't know about.
Well, talk to me. I mean, steroids is one where I'm like, I would never, unless the only time I could see, and again, this is I feel like seeing the movie Bros is why I kind of was like, oh yeah, that's how all these guys are looking like this. Of course.
I respected that was part of that movie.
I respected it. I did feel like in the movie I was confused because it was introduced and sort of like, well, how do you think I got this body? And then it was like never talked about again.
Yeah.
And I was
I just like
wait,
that line.
whoa.
What are you training for? A war? There's something about that.
Yeah, it is this weird sort of dark part of it all that everyone agrees not to talk about.
Yeah.
But even like Arnold Schwarzenegger, like he on the documentary was saying like, yeah, we did steroids.
Right.
Yeah.
So it is something people need to be more honest about. That guy, there was some guy, he eats like raw meat. He's another personality, but part of sort of manosphere adjacent.
I think I've seen
and
that
it was exposed that he was using a lot of steroids, and he kind of got. I haven't seen him in a while. I think he really was hurt from it, but he was wealthy as fuck. But I don't think I would do it. I don't think I would.
No, whatever happened to average, folks? I want someone that looks normal.
Whatever happened to average? That's a book.
Sam fetishizes average.
I love average.
But do you accept average into your life as well?
I think I do. I mean, I work out enough, but I don't like hone in and like really get specific with it.
I do think you get to an age where you're like, when you see people who are, extremely fit or extremely this, unless they were genetically blessed, that usually means they're a nightmare human being.
It's a red flag.
Any like good thing about me, it's like it is an indicator that I my whole every day I'm fucking obsessed with this thing.
I have something that it's just pivot slightly, and I'm not sure if it's a good pivot or not, but I want to try it. The gender in the weight room, I feel like there is a war happening of like part of the manosphere stuff in a weight room is like being mad at women, like being either like dressing too suggestively or like I feel like I see like there's like all these videos of like proper etiquette or like this girl was mad at this guy for looking at her while lifting weights, but actually that guy is mad at that girl, and it's like there's like this thing happening where there's like this culture clash in a weight room.
Well, there's just a regressiveness in the country right now, and you feel it as like we're reintroducing conversations of like does a woman's body count matter? And you're like, God damn, I guess things don't just arc towards being more. It goes back. Things go backwards, way back.
This has been one of my biggest. This has been one of my biggest realizations that I've had over the last few years is like this is both bad and comforting is just like realizing how things come in waves, like just realizing like the conversations about quote unquote wokeism and DEI are the same exact conversations that were happening about political correctness and affirmative action in the 90s, just with different terms.
Yeah.
And obviously that doesn't make it any better because people are still being hurt by the consequences of, legislation, et cetera. But it almost, having the context almost gives you some sort of peace of mind that it will eventually swing back in the other direction or something.
Sure, you hope.
Yeah.
You hope unless technology is able to solidify move, but probably not.
Yeah.
I think things do shift, but it's alarming. I think it's just shocking to witness sometimes. People pretend. I don't know. It's not good.
You know what bums me out the most about it is that because it comes in waves, that means like 2014 is like the peak. Like 2014 is literally like 1975. Like everything was crazy. Nothing made sense. And like that's like what the dream will be that we return to 2014.
Right.
And I'm like, but I wasn't content there.
No.
Like I wanted more.
Sure, but don't you think like there also is a weird fraction though where I feel like the media, Hollywood, entertainment, it's still pretty gay and progressive, even if the country's going backwards. And that's why I don't like, how is this happening? That like, how is Lil Nas X like still so popular, but then parts of the country are like fully pivoting back to, let's revisit conversion therapy.
I don't think Lil Nas X is as popular now as he was when he first came out.
Well, this
like,
is,
I really do think that, like,
true.
Lil Nas X, when Old Town Road came out, like, I don't know if that effect could happen now. There's something that's like, the way that people were able to be like, oh, how fun. I understand that there were also detractors at the time, but like generally speaking, people were embraced it. I don't know if that would happen right now.
It was interesting. Who's the guy at Coachella? He sang Queen. He sang Bohemian Rhapsody.
Is this Benson Boone? I assume?
Benson Boone. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like you look at it and you go, especially when he's singing Queen, where you're like, Freddie Mercury was gay.
Yeah.
You are
gay.
Mormon. And it's kind of like every time they play that song, every time a straight guy sings Bohemian Rhapsody at a karaoke bar, I want them to put up that picture of Freddie Mercury lying down with like 9 guys that look just like him with the exact same mustache. Yeah. Like that should have to play. You read the lyrics over that picture just to confront. Oh, this I'm connected to this.
There is something so incredible about Benson Boone because it is just like complete contextless reference. Like it's just like, I don't know, jumpsuit, I don't know, mustache, backflip.
It's also my least favorite thing where it's just like, look how good I can sing. And it's like,
but
I don't
really
care.
Can sing so good. He really is. It's incredible.
Cares?
But it's more just like I wish people could see or had to be confronted with the fact that like this is or this came from gay culture, because so many straight people enjoy this stuff in a way that's I mean, maybe Bohemian Rhapsody should have added one lyric about sucking cock just to make people have to go like, oh yeah.
Well, I mean, not to be the most obvious point about this, but the full YMCA song being Trump's anthem.
Of course, it's crazy.
It's like the craziest thing. And it's about like jerking off guys at the fucking Y. It like is crazy.
I don't know how. But that's the thing where like, per your point of like, it can never go that far one way, because I'm like, at the end of the day, this is baked in. Yeah. Whether you talk about it or not, it's baked in.
Yeah.
It's just whether people are allowed to be public with what they are or not.
Yeah.
But they're always there.
No, I see what you're saying. It's more like the public narratives come in waves, but the reality stays the same.
Yeah.
It's like the things that are more socially accepted versus not socially accepted come in waves, and the Overton window is like getting bigger and smaller, and like the things you are allowed to quote unquote say on TV change.
It's the same way where they go like more people are bi, and they go, oh, it's
go to theater camp.
Go to theater camp. I'm telling you, go to theater camp.
You know, you literally could have like a business like getting straight guys in touch with their feminine side.
But I think that what we have to do is like that's gradual. Like you advertise it like man camp, and at the end. By the end, suddenly they realize they're in catsuits singing, and they're like, "Oh my god, I like this."
Not to put you on the spot, but don't you think that like you are a man that is an alternative to toxic male comedians?
To a degree, but I don't want to like be on any kind of high horse.
Sure. And I should
about that.
I'm putting you in an awkward position.
No. I certainly think like I have a fan base that is like, you know, it's gay and it's trans and it's non-binary and it's guys like me who just like aren't sure.
But it's also women who are like, oh look, a good man. Like
for sure. I think in certainly in the sense of like. Whether it be sexual orientation or gender expression, I'm a friendly voice in a comedic world that is like uses that as an easy punching bag joke. But it can also be tough because as you talk about comedy, like I have jokes that are like. I have a joke about how, women be shopping was like an old thing, but sometimes I'm out with my girlfriend shopping and I'm like, they really do be. And it's it's sometimes it's like, how do you, the needle I try to thread is like, how do I express that sometimes I do recognize this as some kind of stereotype being true versus not. And And also, like, I like mean comedy. And I'm sure that will get me in trouble
We do as well.
someday.
Yeah.
But, like, sometimes, I'll be talking to, it'll be like crowd work, and it's a 19-year-old, and they tell me they just came out as non-binary. And it's like, how can I joke with them in a way that is not babying? I don't want to be like, let's all cheer now and forget the comedy and feel good. Totally. And it's navigating that. And I'm sure the reason I never want to get on a high horse is because I know eventually I'll do something where someone will go, oh, that was mean, or that joke. I was at a college, and it was like doing crowd work with someone, and they were talking about their roommates were hooking up, and at first I thought the roommates were gay, and they didn't want to be in the room with them, and they said their roommate was non-binary. And I think the joke, speed of the moment, is like, instead of 69ing, do they zero? And it's like, I can see a world where someone goes, fuck you, non-binary people can 69. And I'll be like, yes, of course they can. It's a play off the word non. But I also think, like, I think that is important in terms of, like, I think a lot of leftist momentum, progressive momentum got stymied by a lack of sense of humor, and it's hard because if you let people make jokes, a lot of guys in a toxic society, and women too, go back to the most baseline homophobic jokes. But if you police people in an annoying way, they just write you off and they get annoyed. Mm-hmm. And so I do think there has to be a way forward with mean humor, which people do long for. And like in order for progressive things to go forward, you have to show people you can play ball, you can be a fucking asshole, you can make a dark joke, but it's tough with the balance. But I think that's an interesting comedic space to navigate. And I want to be. People use the term funny is funny to like justify shitty behavior. But I do believe that if you keep funny as your guiding light and you are of a open heart, you will ultimately make good work that isn't hateful, but it can be mean. Yeah, and some people won't like it, and the internet will allow it to be collectivized in a way that feels, but you can't become obsessed because per all the points we said earlier, it's a small contingency.
That's the thing. I think that's like the biggest thing I'm realizing. There was a brief period where canceling became mainstream.
Yes.
And that was basically a year and a half. And then since then...
And we were on the internet.
And we were on
like
the internet.
COVID
It was COVID times. But since then, people have maintained the fear of cancellation.
I say that all the time. That I know some comedians that literally still exist in that space.
Yeah.
And they're like, can you cut this from the podcast? I'm like, it's really more chill. We're not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
No, we're not. Yeah. I do. Well, of course, you do wonder if that also comes in waves and like suddenly in 7 years, it'll be like...
Sure. But I think like the mistake people made with that is like because we were all in COVID, and COVID is a unique thing.
It was a unique thing.
Whenever someone got canceled on the internet or whatever, we thought like they're dead.
Yeah.
Like I say, like we had cancel culture back in ancient Rome. It's just when you got canceled, they killed you. Right. And I think it's because they knew if they didn't kill you, they'd have to hear you whine about cancel culture for the next 50 years. But like with COVID, we thought people left the internet, they stopped existing, and then this is part of the Trump era. This is part of everything. We're like, oh, Kevin Spacey's still going to go make movies.
Yeah.
And you have to contend with that. I'm not saying you have to go forgive Kevin Spacey because of that, but it's like, yeah, he's going to make movies. And maybe if he's not making them in America, he's going to make them in Israel. It's just like people still exist. People still exist in the world. And you have to confront that in terms of how you deal with punishments.
Yeah. I think the mean humor thing, I think, is a good point. And sort of in conversation, because I do feel like in the 2010s, it was very popular to be like a nice comedian. Like it was cool to be like nice and like get sort of a clapter thing every once in a while.
100%.
And so then cancel culture, then we're sort of in this weird space where it's like, okay, we want to be mean, we know that, but we don't want to be an asshole either.
And I think the bottom line is, speaking from talk about a straight thing, where it's like, I think some guys felt like I'm not safe here. There's not a safety to be mean. People get so mad at me so quickly. They take me in the worst possible faith. And you're watching queer comedians get away with murder sometimes, and you're like, okay, and that built you can't let that resentment. The problem is for some guys, it let the resentment fucking destroy them, or some people stop liking their comedy and they shifted so far.
Totally.
And there was a lot of bad liberalish comedy.
Totally.
But right now there is some awful right-wing comedy mixed in with some of the like kind of funny people, but some like a lot of this Kill Tony, you're like, this is not funny.
It's so bad.
That gives me hope, honestly, because you are absolutely correct that during the Hannah Gadsby era, like her
presidency,
the quote unquote like more left leaning queer comedy often was terrible, and it made it made us as fellow queer comedians feel like, oh God, like, is this what people think I do?
Yeah.
I honestly remember like even just like booking people for this podcast and being like, it's a podcast where we talk about straight culture. I'm like, oh God, they probably think this
we're like sincere.
They think this is like some sincere thing where we're like talking about like how oppressed we are or something. And oh God, like I don't want people to think that.
Sure.
And it is, there's something that actually feels almost nice about that switching, and you're seeing, as you're saying, the right-wing people do horrible pandering material to essentially clapter about people that are like anti-DEI, and let's hope that means that the people on the left are like going to become more creative and like make better comedy.
And also like first of all, I thought what was Hannah Gadsby's, what is it called?
Nanette
was like a good piece of theater, and it was billed as a stand-up comedy special for advertising purposes.
Yes.
And then everyone acted like this is going to invade our spaces as if the Comedy Cellar changed in some way.
Yeah.
But I also saw like, you know, if you watch Andrew Schultz's new special, it ends with a video montage of his wife getting pregnant and having a baby, and people like crying and moved, and I go like, don't you see?
Yeah.
People just sometimes want to cry, and like you're crying at the end of Nanette, and you're crying at the end of this. Don't you understand? You have more in common. Comedians get to a place where sometimes they want to do more than make you laugh, and that doesn't mean that laughter is coming to an end. But I see people going like, "Wow, I cried at the end of this," and I go, "That's what everyone was so mad about with Hannah Gadsby for so long."
It's like how Chappelle. I feel like the stereotype of Chappelle's later work is like he's saying something and then he gets really serious and he's like, they crucified him for that. Like it's like you know what I mean? Like he's the king of suddenly becoming more serious.
Oh my God, it's
anyway, yeah. Wow. Well, Gianmarco, any final thoughts on weightlifting?
I think my trainer, I don't know. He hasn't gone back recently.
Oh,
with some
interesting.
stuff. But he's gay.
Huge.
And it definitely is like that is one of those things where I go, I want to have my trainer be a gay man, and I don't know if I don't care if it's bad. I mean that's the truth. It's like, and I don't know why. I don't know if I can fully articulate like what it is, but I feel like. I don't know. I don't know who I work out for. If it's for myself, if it's for my business, if it's all over the thing, it's just liking to feel a certain way. If it's to make up for not feeling athletic as a kid. But I'm like, the way that I want to talk about, when I was worried about if I was in shape or not, I asked a friend of mine from college, a gay guy, and I said to him, I prance around in my underwear in general. I'm just an underwear guy. I'm a nudist if I'm alone. Mm-hmm. And I said to him, like, I'm in good shape, right? And he didn't say anything. And I went to my room and I cried. And then he talked, and he was like, and this is like a friend. This is a friend who can be a hard friend, but he's an honest friend. And sometimes you need honest friends. And he wasn't saying I was not in shape, but what I was saying that I thought I was, he was like, you're in fine shape, but if you think that you're like in excellent shape, that's essentially. Okay. Now listen, I understand some people would hear that and go,
you're really giving him a lot of grace.
I listen, no, but you have to understand the energy that I brought to it. It's like if someone comes to you and goes, I'm an amazing singer, right?
Sure.
And they're not an amazing singer. Are you the friend that lets them go on American Idol and make a fool of themselves? Or are you the friend who says, maybe if you want to be an amazing singer, you might want to take some voice lessons.
But I would say you're like in better shape than like 95% of the people.
This was a long time ago. This is because.
Oh, that's why.
This is not recently.
Okay.
Recently, I'd say fuck you. I'm in excellent shape.
I see.
But there's just like in terms of talking about my own body, there's something where I'm like, I want to talk to a gay man because I want to talk to another man, and I trust a gay man's ability to like talk about what looks good over a straight man.
And you know they're not flattering you because they're not trying to fuck you.
They possess the lack of empathy only a man could possess.
Totally. Only a gay man, if any. Yeah.
Well, I've been feeling this way with clothing shopping recently, where I've been trying on a lot of suits, and
Sam's getting married.
You've been having like
congratulations.
Thank you. You like sometimes I feel very sexualized, where they're like, "Ooh, try this. Ooh, try this," and I'm like, it actually makes me feel so much better to know that you're sexualizing me. Like I'm like, you're actually paying attention. You have stake in this game. Like you want to turn yourself on through me. So I celebrate
my
you.
little sister, she works at Celine in Los Angeles, and she like helps pick outfits sometimes. And I do sometimes think like there is a thing where I say to her like, I need to look sexy, and are you able as my sister to do that? Are you able to look and like go, that's sexy?
She needs to recuse herself.
Or are you ultimately like gonna make me look good but in an asexual way? Are you going like, ooh, make sure you get some chest hair in there because that's turning the ladies on?
I had an experience recently. I went to this new menswear store in Brooklyn. I wish I could shout it out because it's a great store, but I'm about to say a negative story about them, so I won't. The owner of the store was there. Really like hot, attractive fashion guy, perfectly coiffed beard, whatever. I was trying to buy a nice shirt for something, and he was being very much like, oh, the collar perfectly frames your face, blah, blah, blah. And then I found out after the fact that he is in fact straight, not gay. And just like, because he works in fashion, like speaks like that
gay.
and says the collar.
Like this, yeah.
And the way that I then put the shirt back on, looked at myself in the mirror, and I was like, I look bad. Like the sheen of his praise was gone. I have it actually here. I'm returning it today. I literally have the bag next to me.
This is one of the scariest stories you've ever told me.
And I'm telling you, it doesn't look good on me. Like I now can objectively see it. It fits me weirdly. It is.
I love in fashion they have to be like, no one can know that I'm straight. No one can know that I'm straight.
Wow,
it's a secret.
That is crazy. Yeah. And for you to go through the trouble of returning something, I mean,
can you
and have the
really
awareness of it and still continue
it was
the
very
action.
expensive. Yeah.
Wow.
And guess what? I can only get store credit.
Wow. Oh, wow. Well, I can't wait to see what you come up with.
Same.
Should we do our final
Let's do our
segment?
final segment.
Our final segment is called Shoutouts, and in this segment we pay homage to the grand straight tradition of the radio shoutout, shouting out to anything, people, places, things, ideas that we are enjoying. We make them up on the spot. We are unprepared per usual.
Yes, we have to make them up on the spot.
George, do you happen to have one?
Yeah.
Hit us with it.
Okay. What's up, cinephiles? I want to give a shout out to the movie Drop, which I just watched 2 days ago. Now, as everyone knows, this movie is about a woman on a first date, and she starts getting drops on her phone. Do you know about this, Gianmarco?
I don't.
Okay, so she's on a first date. It's Megan Fahey from White Lotus Season 2.
Okay.
Yeah. She's on a first date. She gets a drop on her phone, like an airdrop, and it's like, hey. And it turns out it's a guy that is sending her messages, and they're like, you have to kill your date, otherwise your son will die. And she figures out that there's someone, she can see on the cameras on her phone that there's someone at her place where her son is being babysat. Mm-hmm. And so then she has to do all these things that this man keeps telling her, otherwise her son will die. And I guess I just want to give a generalized shout out to movies with a very simple premise that manage to stick the landing, because it is actually very rare. Anyone can come up with a premise, but what people don't realize is that it has to have a second and a third act, and then it has to have a satisfying conclusion. And I would say this film pulled that off. Much like the movie Red Eye, famous Wes Craven, I want to say. Red Eye?
I don't remember.
Anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, you know what? Keep them coming, folks.
Okay. What's up, freaks, losers, and perverts around the globe? I want to give out to the broken screen on my flight over here. I had a broken screen and could not watch movies or TV even, and it gave me a sense of superiority that I actually missed. I have been feeling sort of man of the people vibes, maybe even anti-intellectual, and not this flight. This flight, I read my damn book, the whole 4 hours and 30 minutes.
Damn.
And you better believe believe I'm much further than I ever thought I would be in
What are
this
you
book.
reading now?
The book that for our episode on Thursday. Oh, I'm gonna be fucking prepped. And I felt like I could feel people looking at me saying, "Is he reading this whole time? Oh my God, he's still reading, and he's not even napping, not even for a little bit." That's right. I was a hero on the plane. Everyone was gagged at my intellectualism, and sometimes it's forced upon you, but you have to take the call.
Oh my God! Woo! First of all, you are so ahead of me in terms of buzzy books. It's crazy. You've lapped me twice.
I'm lapping you. I'm lapping your ass.
Oh my God!
Role reversal over here.
Literally.
And now your body's tight.
Gianmarco, whenever you're ready.
What's up, sexy boys and girls around the universe? I stayed at a Hilton hotel in Wilmington, North Carolina. The hotels in this country are falling apart at the seams. It is a fucking disaster, and no one should live a life on the road because you really experience just the worst of life. But you see where America's going. My room, Saturday morning, 6 a.m., one of the alarms that in the hotel clock went off, and then it went off a second time after that. My AC thing was broken, so it was 59 degrees in my room the entire time. And I complained, of course, and they gave me two things. One, they gave me $50 off at the restaurant in the hotel. Again, am I happy about the hotel being shitty? No. But they gave. I complained, and they said, we will make this right. 59 degrees, there was no rooms. Then they found one room for me to switch that night. Society is collapsing. I understand the people who are hired in the middle part, they're not to blame. But unfortunately, this is the job that they've taken. And if you're there and it's your home for the night, they're the ones that need to lead the revolution. Give enough of those $50 cards that the hotel goes, we're going bankrupt. And maybe it closes, and maybe that's a good thing and you sacrifice your job. Or maybe they go, this is a disaster. And you go, why? What am I going to do? Tell the guy to fuck off? And unfortunately, you've taken on the burden of, we can't just let it happen. We can't just let it slide. We can't. I can't just not sleep. And I shout out to all those people who have been put in shitty positions. Those people in the lost baggage claim area at the airports, that it's not your fault that the bag is lost, but you're the one who's saying, like, here's the $400 coupon for the flight. You got to tear up these companies from the inside and make them fix or die, because there's no way this is sustainable. There's no way it's sustainable.
Wow. I just want to say, I want to give a shout out to the phrase, the people that are hired in the middle part, because it's so, like, that's literally that's a Jordan Peele movie, The Middle Part.
The middle part.
Yeah. No, it's so true. I mean, I have to say, if I complain about something, which is very rare, and I get even like $1, I'm immediately like, I'm writing you into my will.
Yeah, I'm like, thank you.
Yeah.
This was really amazing.
Yeah, and you just gotta, if I worked at the place, they'd fire me. I'd give $25 each time they came in. I'm saying, hey, this is a piece of shit right off the gate. Here's $25 off.
I actually tip more when something is bad because I feel bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was nice. It was like he came and it was 50. He walked in the room, and I like that he did this. He went, oh my God. Like, acknowledge.
That's
it is
nice.
very cold.
That's nice.
59 degrees is very cold. I'm not being a baby here. No. And the blankets are this thin. We all know what we're doing here.
They're covered in cum.
Don't lie that it's not that bad, or the worst, like there's one baggage, the bag was ripped open, it was soaking wet, they ruined everything. And she said it happens more often than you'd think. And I was like, that's not for me. That doesn't make me feel better. That's don't even offer that.
Yeah.
Then you should have a better answer. If it happens more often, you should have a better answer than whatever the fuck this is.
It's actually the opposite of what you want to hear, because you want to be the protagonist of that story. It's like, how could this possibly happen to me?
Wow. Well, this has been a delight. Incredible.
Gianmarco, where can people find you? Where can people see you? And how can people, maybe even physically find you and visit your house?
I announce my location pretty much every night if you want to find me to do whatever. At Gianmarco Soresi, all social media platforms. My podcast is called The Downside with Gianmarco Soresi. And I'm just on tour all the time. I post a lot of videos online, and I'll have a special coming out later this year, probably on YouTube. So just stay tuned.
Woo! Okay, thanks for doing the pod.
Thank you.
Bye. StraightioLab is a production by Will Ferrell's Big Money Players Network and iHeart Podcasts.
Created and hosted by George Civeris and Sam Taggart.
Executive produced by Will Ferrell, Han Sani, and Olivia Aguilar.
Co-produced by Bei Wang.
Edited and engineered by Adam Avalos.
Artwork by Michael Fales and Matt Grubb.
Theme music by Ben Kling.